kind of believe in the purity of the craft. You're not going to come over here and find a raspberry, blueberry, pecan porter, sour beer coming from me.
Okay.
I can bring out flavors that I want to use, and I use, like I got a lemongrass saison. So we use flavors to enhance flavors.
Okay.
I'm not trying to reinvent anything besides making a great, solid beer.
Welcome to TapThatAZ, the show where you get to meet the awesome people behind the best craft beverages across the state of Arizona. I'm your host, Eric Walters. In this episode, I get to hang out with Brian Helton from Helton Brewing Company. This coming Saturday, May 20th, 2017, Helton's going to be celebrating their 1-year anniversary with a good old shindig. They're going to have live music. They're tapping a new Double IPA that they got. They're going to have their own food as well as JL Smokehouse. It's going to be a good time. I'm going to be there. If you go there and say you heard about them, heard about the party from TapThatAZ, you probably won't get anything for it, but they might think you're cool. So come on down, celebrate. I'm going to be there. Have a good time. In the meantime, let's tap into Helton Brewing Company. I'm on the northeast corner of 22nd Street and Indian School, right?
Correct.
Excellent. And I am at Helton Brewing Company with Brian Helton. Brian, thanks for joining me, man.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Yeah, this is great. I've been here a few times. This is the first time back here seeing the whole setup, and we'll get into that because you've got something that you're really excited about that just kind of was unveiled today, right?
That's right. With new toy to play with in the brewery.
Nice. So we'll get to that. But so you're a Midwest guy, right?
Yeah. I grew up in Indiana.
Okay. Yeah. Nice. So what do you think that has brought, that Midwest? Because I'm from Ohio, so okay. I'm from. Some people say, "Oh, is that the Midwest?" I'm like, "Yeah, I consider it the Midwest."
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's not the East Coast, so it's got to be something.
That's right. That's right.
So, what do you feel that has brought something to the way that you operate your business and the way you approach your beer?
Yeah, I think so. I think the work ethic coming from the Midwest in a small town, you have your reputation, and let's say you're a plumber. And if you're a plumber in a small town, if you do not very good work or you say something, you're not going to be there, right. Something like that, then you're not going to have business. Where out here in Phoenix or a larger city, it doesn't matter. You can go on to the next, client or, customer.
Yeah.
So that work ethic gets instilled in you to do the best job you can. Jack of all trades, master of none. I kind of tease myself like that because, we have the ability as brewers to, you sweat copper, you run electricity, you build, you're an engineer, you're an architect, you can do a little bit of everything. So I think coming from the Midwest, I had a great family and a great father that taught me all those skills.
Nice.
We built a lot of houses and growing up during high school, built a couple apartments and stuff like that to get some money just to work the summers and stuff like that. So you learn a lot of times out of necessity, mind you, to do things.
Yeah.
So when I did this brewery, it's a 10,000 square foot warehouse. It needed a lot of love. It really did. So we went after it with a very slim budget. We did our own demolition. We had a general contractor put in the utilities, of course, and the electric. But then we kind of took it from there. You'll notice the tasting room. We literally tore down 2 barns in Indiana and brought them back in a semi and utilized that wood. Talked to a local sawmill to get our hardwood, so the wood came in raw for my tables and my bar and that conference table. And we put everything together here. And what I didn't use, I turn around and sold to other bars and restaurants here in Phoenix. And pretty much I broke even. So it's out of necessity, we were able to put that tasting room together.
Okay. Nice. It's beautiful.
Thank you.
This whole place is great. And it's huge. This is probably the biggest space. And now, granted, I don't have a huge experience with a lot of breweries, the 5, 10, 15 that I've been through, behind the scenes. You've got a lot of room to grow here. That was kind of the intention, right?
Yeah, I'm very fortunate. I've been brewing now professionally for about 23 years.
Okay.
I have a lot of friends that have done this, and we've all been teachers of what not to do That's
Okay.
one great thing about this industry is we'll be the first to help each other out and say, oh, by the way, do not do this. This is what we did. Kind of the common mistake we see breweries make is they go into a lease. Well, the utilities that we have to put in for a brewery, especially when you go into production, you have to tear the place up. And a lot of times you look on the lease and the landlord is going to put in the lease. You have to return the, to the originals. So you're filling the concrete if you don't watch it. Or if you are successful, they're going to jack up your lease. So I never wanted to lease. And two, everyone told me to buy the biggest building I can.
Okay.
Because no matter what, you think you have a lot of space, but you won't. Once you move into canning or bottling, which is in the future for us,
Nice.
you just have so much dry storage needs and, square foot just for that. And of course, what we liked about this building is Phoenix is zoned mostly C2. That's why you see strip malls up and down everywhere. This is a C3 zone, which is industrial. So I could be canning tuna in this place, making, Coke, or basically brewing beer.
Yeah.
So that was great that I didn't have to worry about rezoning. And the other aspect, I got 22-foot ceilings. So as I grow, the max I think we can do is a 30-barrel brew house.
Okay.
When we talk about a barrel, which is 2 kegs.
Yeah.
And we can get a 90-barrel fermenter. So we can do 3 shifts and get 180 kegs in one shift.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So we can definitely grow
'Cause of
into
that height?
this because of the height.
Okay.
And of course, Phoenix, is hot. So not too many buildings are high because, but this building was originally a 2-story warehouse for tires. So back in the 1960s, it was kind of like the very first Big O tires, or, your kind of one-stop shop for all tires.
That was this.
That was this.
Okay.
Yeah.
2 stories, and that makes sense then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it really fits it. And then, historically too, breweries are kind of like a horseshoe. I got 7 garage doors, and it's great. And it is laid out like a horseshoe. So we have raw ingredients coming in, our barley and, wheat and rye and oats. And it gets milled, it gets brewed, and then goes to a fermentation area that moves to the serving vessel and then out the door. So we have 2 receiving doors. It's perfect. I can bring equipment in with the other 7 garage doors we have. So it's really a perfect building for what we wanted to do.
Yeah. No, and I'm sure it's nice to have extra room too, right?
Yeah.
Not cramped in.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it was really nice to go ahead and engineer the place with utilities in mind and the future growth in mind. So me and my architect and engineer, we sat down, and first and foremost, we're like, all right, here's the equipment that we have.
Yeah.
Here's the utility bank, let's say, that we have X amount of, amps and what have you. How big can we grow this? And let's go ahead and put in footprints for future growth. I
Okay.
put in a wastewater treatment plant that I don't even need right now, but one day I will.
Nice.
So why tear up the floor and do that again?
Yeah.
Let's not put tanks over here because we're going to have a future, X here.
Yeah.
So that was really fun. So as you look through the place, you'll see we have drains set up for certain growth as we go. So everything's all planned out.
Yeah. Nice. I like that. It makes sense too. It makes sense. Like, hey, we don't need this now, but you have a bigger picture in mind. Yeah. So what brought you to Phoenix? So why did you move from Indiana to Phoenix?
I was brewing downtown in Cincinnati with a corporate company.
Okay.
They gave me the opportunity to be a regional brewer. So they would give you 4 or 5 breweries that you would be responsible for. But the kicker was I got to do an install. So as a brewer, that's really there's certain like milestones you want to reach as a brewer.
Okay.
And definitely doing your first install is one that you would like to take advantage of because you design it, you work with the fabricator, you work with the engineers, and you get to put a brewery in. So it's great experience. And at first, I remember telling my wife, they offered it to me, and my wife was a very successful hairdresser in Cincinnati, and she was a partner with another salon, and I knew she would never want to move.
Right.
And drinking wine and beers one night on the patio, I was like, oh, by the way. She laughed, and about 2 or 3 days later, she goes, I can't get that out of my mind. I think we ought to, really consider that.
Wow.
Nice. So, that was about 14 years ago, and here we are.
Nice. And were you guys fearful of the summers?
You hear about it, but
Right.
I'll tell you what, being from the Midwest, there's no comparison. Out here, when And then you go back home and you listen to the news and they act like it's a third level of Hades.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like, it's really not that hot, people.
No,
it's like,
no.
you got to about 9 to 10 o'clock every day. People golf every day out here.
Yeah.
You get in your pool. You can come home at night. You can still grill out.
Right.
But in February in Cincinnati or back home in Indiana, you can't be doing that.
No.
It's just nasty out and it's gray weather for 2.5 months. So there's no comparison.
Yeah.
I'd rather live out here. And plus 2 hours, you can be in elk country. So it's gorgeous. You just have to take advantage of what we have.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. And I, people who haven't been out here, a lot of my friends from back home are like, oh man, it's 118. I'm like, yeah, like 2 days a year. You got 3-4 months where but you can escape. Like you said, you can escape. And the big thing for me is sunshine. Like that sunshine is, if I'm stuck inside, but it's sunny outside, I'm okay with that. I want to go outside, and then I do. And then I burn my feet on my patio. So I go back in, But no, I agree with you. I love Phoenix, and the beer culture here is exploding.
It is.
I moved out here 2007, late 2007, and I think it's doubled, maybe even over doubled since that time. So I like what you said too. The community out here is so supportive. Yeah. Through these interviews I've done with breweries, everyone there's that camaraderie of, you obviously want to make a better beer than your buddy over here, but it's not cutthroat. It's completely different.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I've heard someone say it the other day that rising waters will raise all ships, So our job is to make better beer drinkers, and we try to help each other. And whether it's, I'm short, 22 pounds of Citra this week and borrow that to, hey, I have a problem here. What do you think? Where's it coming from? Well, what can I do about it? Who did you use as your engineer? I mean, we're constantly helping each other to make the industry a better place for everybody.
Yeah.
Our job is to educate the public, and give them better options to beers.
Yeah. Yeah. And I was doing an interview with Jared Dubina, and he was saying basically like, okay, if you go to a brewery and then you see one is right across the street, you're like, oh man, I should have went there. Yeah. It's a bonus. It's like, oh man, there's one right across the street. We can go that one too. So it's not that choosing one or the other. It's And you're kind of you're part of a unique group in the Bermuda Phoenix. Is that what they call it?
Yeah, that is.
What is that?
Well, if you look on a map, it's a triangle in between Wren House, Helton Brewing, and Helio. We're all about 2 miles apart.
Okay.
So the Bermuda Triangle, it started, it was a catchphrase first between us, and then we liked it, and it was kind of funny. And then we drew it on a piece of paper. Then next thing you know, we have a logo. Then it just kind of took off. We realized we're all new pretty much, or at least Helio and Helton is. Wren House has been established for a couple of years. So they were nice enough to let us jump on their coattail, so to speak, and help promote us.
Okay.
But every second Saturday, I think, we have Arizona brewery tours. John brings one of his, now I think it's one of the largest buses that he has.
Okay.
And we'll pay for consumers or customers to go from every location. So every half hour, they'll pull the truck up or the van and pick everybody up and take you to the next place.
Nice.
So you can start, let's say, over here at Helton and go over to Helio and have lunch and a couple beers at Wren House and finish out here with a couple beers, and then you're on your way. Or vice versa. You can just jump on it anywhere knowing that you can get back to your car.
Yeah.
So it's a great way to spend a Saturday, and hitting 3 breweries at once. And, we're very different. Every brewer has its own unique skill set, so to speak, or style of brewing. And that's what's kind of great about it. You can go, and it's not like we're all just specializing in sours, or we're all just, hopheads out, the Batuski.
Yeah.
I mean, we all do very diverse, different beers. So it's kind of a great way for people to see that this central corridor Phoenix has is really a great destination spot. For people coming into Phoenix and looking for something to do. We're $8 Uber ride away from downtown and all that, and you can come over here, and there's some great beer bars in this area. So it's kind of nice. I never realized when I bought the building this area was going to explode and become what it is today.
Yeah, it is changing, and and so my wife drove us. She was our tour bus driver, but I haven't actually rode the shuttle yet. But we did the tour. We started at Helton Basin. Their food is unbelievable.
Unreal. What she does every day. I look what she does on Instagram, and I want to get over there for lunch, and I can't. We tease them every time they call, like, hey, can we borrow a TC fitting? I'm like, absolutely, but I want a sheet pan of that cornbread, you know?
Yeah.
So that's the barter system.
Yes. But it was like, we went there. I heard that the food was really good. There's people have told me, hey, start there. Start, with Helton Basin, get a good lunch in, and it blew me away. And she actually brought it out, the chef.
Yeah.
What's her name?
I think Tamara.
Okay, so she brought it out, and then our server came back around. He's like, you guys just realized you were like graced with greatness. That was the chef. I'm like, dude, this food is, my wife, it was even like, usually she's like, okay, yeah, this is pretty good. This is, brewery food is usually pretty basic.
Yeah.
She was blown away. She's like, this is the best taco I've ever had.
Yeah.
So then we hit up Wren House. Their Joe Mac Stout is, I love that Joe Mac Stout.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so we had a beer there, and then we ended here, and we got the charcuterie board with the waffles.
Yeah.
Blown away again.
Nice.
That was pretty phenomenal.
Well, thank you.
Yeah. So tell me about that. So your food program is, you were pretty strategic about what you wanted to have, right?
Yeah, I'm not a restaurant and I'm not a bar. I don't have any desire to be, but the revenue at the bar is really high. I mean, we're a production facility with a tasting room, and that's what we're zoned for. We can do food, and we have food. It's more or less along the lines to support the beer program or education through the palate.
Right.
So the charcuterie and cheese to pairing a beer with a waffle, sweet and savory. I mean, we're doing savory waffles that are making people go, are you kidding me?
That's what we had. It was the bacon cheddar, I think. Maybe. Is that one?
Yeah, and it's just a delivery device, however you want to look at it. We did the same thing when we were over, me and my wife were over in Europe, and we were having waffles constantly, and they were sometimes savory.
Yeah.
And we're like, there it is, I didn't want to spend the money every day on a chef or a sous chef or a huge prep list at 9 o'clock in the morning they're making another gallon of pico de gallo. I mean, all of that is cost, and coming from that side and watching that for all these years, it's a lot of food waste, a lot of labor waste, and you have to decide who and what you want to be. And first and foremost, I'm a brewery. I want to concentrate on the beer, but what we've done is also bring in certain people and give them their artistic freedom to kind of showcase their talents and skills. So they can come up with little things and pair it with my beers. And I got two new culinary guys that I'm kind of excited about that's just joined the team.
Nice.
And it's just going to be more or less continue with the cheese and charcuterie and the waffles and the paninis and just let them come up with things. I got a new beer coming down the line in a couple weeks. I'm like, all right, here it is, guys. Taste it. What do you want to do?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Nice. That you give them that freedom of like, and I like you say that I make beer. That's what I do.
Yeah.
But food complements that too. And
absolutely.
And I think you have classes, right? So I know you guys you do a handful of different, not about a handful, but few, right? Different classes.
Yeah.
And one of them was the food pairing.
Yeah. We've done Get to Know Your Milk. So it's kind of a class where we'll bring out the 3 or 4 major styles of cheese, let's say, from the animals, protein style, and kind of educate you about those different, flavor profiles of those cheeses and how to pair them with beer. And the normal person can take that and go, well, let's grab a couple growlers of beer and grab 2 or 3 of these cheeses that we just learned about and throw our own little cheese party at the house. Food is really always compared with wine, unfortunately, but it's really not. I mean, throughout history, beer has always been. It's always been the wheat belt that goes through Europe. If you're, north of the wheat belt, you turn into the wine. But if you're south, it's always beer oriented. And beer has a multidimensional characteristic that wine doesn't, which is CO2. So having CO2 present, it can scrub the fats off your palate, leave it fresh, clean. It can make the flavors linger. We do that with CO2 levels. Or it can make really crisp and dry to just scrub out, let's say, any fried food that you're putting on your palate, or a heavy cream from a triple cream. So beer is really multidimensional when it comes to food. So we wanted to showcase that. We wanted to tell people that. We wanted to educate them. So when they walked out of here, they'd be like, huh, so you mean beer is just not something that I have at the swimming pool when I'm barbecuing? Right. Or when I go out with my buddies to a beer bar, then I can have, 2 or 3 IPAs? You know, no, food is beer, and beer is food. I keep saying that, and I think it's a great way to look at it. I love nothing more than when I'm eating to have two or three different pints or styles of beer when I'm eating.
Gotcha. Yeah. And cheese. Who doesn't like cheese?
Right.
I mean, the only people that I've heard who don't like cheese are the people who can't have cheese.
Can't have it, and they want it.
They want it.
Yeah, they just can't have it.
Right. But you do. I saw on the website you do. What was it? A sensory class? Mm-hmm. What are the sensory classes?
The sensory is kind of based as a 101 and 102. Okay. We have a lot of cicerones and beer judges here in the state. And our sensory classes are a way for those guys and girls to sharpen the saw. Okay. We do them monthly. It's a triangle test, so I give you 3 beers. Mm-hmm. 2 are the same and 1's different. Now, 2 could be dosed with an off flavor, or 2 could be our control, and the other could be the off flavor. And for the normal person that has no idea what these off flavors are, they can still participate because it makes them trust their palate.
Okay.
So what I do is I take this off flavor and I'll dose it about 50 parts per million above threshold, and you should be able to tell.
Okay.
Well, at the very end of the class, I give it to you at 300, so it really will smack you in the face and go, oh, there it is. Mm-hmm. So it's a great way for you to learn these off flavors. Now, as a brewer, our job is to get these off flavors below threshold. And there's pretty much like 7 or 8 common off flavors in every single beer. Our job is to get them below so you can't taste them.
Okay.
So that's what's great about us doing this. Now, brewers will show up and we're able to do this, and we really fine tune our palate to see where we're at. Now, there's an angle for me. Let's say that I find out that you are really good at picking up, let's say, DMS, dimethyl sulfide. Okay. So the next time you come in for the sensory, I'm like, well, maybe that was a fluke. I'm going to test them, and so you get a special one that now you were basically at threshold. You picked it up again. Next time I'm going to do it, but it's going to be below threshold. If you still picked it up, so now you're hypersensitive to dimethyl sulfide. So if I have a DMS problem, I bring you in and the other 3 or 4 people that I've been tracking, and I put all these beers in front of you. I'm like, when do you detect it? This one, or this one? Yeah. And then that gives me tons of data. So we all have sensory thresholds that we're very good at. I'm really good at diacetyl. I can pick that up. Or DMS sometimes can throw me for a loop. Mm-hmm. So it's a great way for us to fine-tune a sensory group, quality assurance program. But also it's a great way for me to get just the general public. You could be a wine person to a beer person, or someone that just loves coffee. Yeah. You just, if you're a foodie, you can come in here because it makes you trust your palate. Mm-hmm. It's like, all right, which one is different? Yeah. And it plays, some tricks on you. And we do 3 of them. So it's an hour-long class. We'll throw a beer at you at the very end so you can kind of relax and meet some new friends.
Right. Like you're not a test subject behind the one-way mirror. Yeah.
But it's a great thing. I love doing it. I love to teach. I love to infect people with a passion of brewing and beer, and that's why we're here.
Yeah.
Brewing is not a very glamorous position and what people might think. Mm-hmm. You work constantly, and so it's the labor of love.
Yeah. Well, you're doing great because your beer is phenomenal, and that's why we're here. So let's wrap this up with the beer. Let's talk about the beer. So I don't know. Just what is your approach to what you do?
All right. I kind of believe in the purity of the craft. You're not going to come over here and find a raspberry, blueberry, pecan porter, sour beer coming from me. Okay. I can bring out flavors that I want to use, and I use, like I got a lemongrass saison. So we use flavors to enhance flavors. Okay. I'm not trying to reinvent anything besides making a great solid beer.
Yeah.
Sours are real popular right now. I've been brewing for 23 years. I don't think I'm good enough to brew a sour. I mean, brewing a sour is like a life underneath a microscope. Until you really get that down, you're putting all your other beers at risk. But what you will find here is some pretty solid, style-driven beers. We always push the limits when it comes to maybe the style guidelines with our Scotch Ale or our milk stout. Mm-hmm. Coming from Cincinnati, I had no choice but to brew a Pilsner. We talk about those off flavors. Well, the hardest beer to brew is a Pilsner.
That's what I've heard. Yeah.
Because, I want to use this quote, and it's not mine. Someone told it to me the other day, and I love it, that you can hide a dead cat in an IPA, and you can't. You know?
That's true.
But, you know, and that's why they're so popular, because, you know, you can move them, and if there's problems with your beer, the public's not going to know. Same with a big Imperial Stout. Barrel aging, same thing. All these flavors are going to mask your inadequacies, let's say, as a brewer. So we do a Pilsner. I have a Northeast IPA that I can't keep in the tank. It's going on, you know, crazy. We have a Lemongrass Saison that's going to be coming out in 2 weeks. And we do a lot of single hop series. Once again, kind of educational base. We take one hop and use it all the way through the beer. So people can come in and say, oh, now I know what Comet tastes like. You know, so Comet is, they call it Citra, little sister. So everyone knows Citra. Everyone loves Citra. So Comet is a hop that I haven't used, so that's a great way of doing it. So that's how we discover what these flavors from bittering, flavoring, aroma, and dry hopping will do to the beer. You know, we just make you know, pretty small batches of them. But yeah, that's the beers that we're doing. We're probably about 60 different locations here in Phoenix, a couple up in Flagstaff. We're about 10 months old. So we're really new. We're about ready to do an expansion and buy some more tanks here soon. Toying with getting into canning within, let's say, a year. We're looking at that. But yeah, we're self-distributing ourselves. Everyone here is a team-oriented. We're dropping off kegs on our way home to, you know, bars and making sure that the quality is where it needs to be.
Well, and that's what I noticed too is you're not going to get wacky stuff here. But I like that because, like, you take a very scientific approach to this, and I like the quality over the, I don't want to say the gimmick or the, you know, novelty of it, but because there's some brewers out there that do that stuff, and like Dark Sky, like in their first year they had 100 different beers, and they had it all over the board, and you know, I'd taste them, I'm like, I don't know if I would like this jalapeno, apricot, you know, whatever, and then I would taste them like, oh, that's really good, you know, but then you go back and it's not there, but each place has its own like character, and I love that you're perfecting what it is that you're doing.
And that's well said. I mean, Ryan's phenomenal. He's good at that. He's really good at putting flavors like that. Wilderness is phenomenal at that, you know? You know, so for me to come on and try to compete with those guys when they already have the market share, you know, and that's just not my style, you know, and my style is just to make a pretty decent beer, and love to go into Dark Sky and Wilderness and enjoy those beers, you know, so I don't need to be critiquing my own because, like I said, I don't think I'm that good to be brewing a sour yet.
Maybe someday. I had a really good sour. It was a cranberry sour at Peoria Artisan. That was good. I think that was the only sour that I've ever liked. It's just an acquired taste, but their sour is really good. So tell us about this thing that I'm looking at over here. I saw on Instagram before I came down. What is this? Because I know you're proud of it.
I'm very hop centric. I do enjoy all my my pales and IPAs, and what we had learned, you know, in the industry is how can we dry hop these beers, and how can we get the most aromatics and flavors from them. Now we're doing it on the cold side, so mind you, when heat and time is present, the ISO is released into the beers and isomerization occurs, and now you got bittering. So that's how we've always utilized hops, you know, traditionally. And then we add them at the end to give all your aromas. Well, we've really pushed the boundaries just like everything else. So, you know, some guys might be pushing the boundaries of sours or adding, you know, things to beer. I've always pushed the boundaries of how to get hops, how to make certain beers very subtle or freight trains. It all depends on what you want. I always tell my assistant brewers, I'm like, come to the table with an idea of what you want to do, not, oh, I'll make a good beer or copy a recipe from a book that you're reading or a magazine or another buddy of yours is brewing it. What are you trying to do? So when it comes to the hops, it's a really unique market right now. There's a lot of fun things out there. So this is kind of one of the latest trends. And what it is a 77-gallon, and to be honest with you, like a giant corny keg. And what we've done is we put 3 inlets in it. So the beer is going to go through the fermentation after primary. We drop the yeast out. And what we're doing is pumping it in different directions into this vessel. the vessel has hops in it. Okay. So we'll put our dry hops in there and we'll recirculate this for about 3 hours around 60 hertz. And what we're trying to achieve is vegetative material exposure to the liquid. That's
Okay.
the basic principle. How much vegetative or hops, dry hops, are going to be exposed to the beer. Now, when you dry hop traditionally, we would open up the top and drop the pellets in or the whole flower and they fall to the bottom. So as they expand, you didn't have much control. Then we started using pumps, then we started using CO2. I mean, we've kept evolving. And every time a brewer does something, we're like, oh, did that work? What'd you think?
Right.
So now it's come to this where we're fabricating Copper Star Chemicals is a fabricator here in town, good friend of mine. We kind of sat down and kind of looked at what some other guys are doing, and we decided to fabricate this. And today we're going to launch it, see what happens. We're going to use it on our single hop series, the Comet that we were talking about, and it's an experimental beer. So it's not going to be something that we can have a quantifiable distinguishing remark compared to maybe our IPA or house or anything, but it's a good start. So today we'll be able to see what it will also do. It reduces time in the tank and reduces how much hops I use. So there's a cost benefit as well. You know, so when the vegetative material, you'll see a couple of my posts that we open up a fermentation vessel. You see all these hops at the bottom. I mean, last week I put one on there. It had like an 8-inch frozen piece of, hops that were just at the cone.
Is that what that was?
Yeah, it was frozen. Yeah. So but as an owner now, I'm looking, I go, oh my gosh, how much money? I mean, we got, $600-700 with dry hops sitting there in a tank. And you're like, can we be more efficient? Can we get more out of it and use less? So this is what this is supposed to be doing. We'll be able to use less, increase time, increase flavor and aromas, which is what we want. So that's the overall goal.
Yeah, gotcha. Okay, well, I'm excited to try it.
Yeah,
so,
we are too.
But yeah, dude, thanks for joining me, man. I really appreciate it. You guys are open every day but Monday?
Every day but Monday. We open at 3. On the weekends, we open up at noon.
Okay.
So.
Gotcha. And you just expanded the beer garden too?
Yeah, we have a beer garden out there that has pool tables, shuffleboard, a couple lounging areas. So yeah, it's just a nice place for people to, relax and enjoy a beer.
Yeah, excellent. And get the charcuterie board too with the waffles. I
go.
recommend that. Yeah, so northeast corner of 22nd Street and Indian School, HeltonBrewing.com. Were you guys on Instagram? Is that mainly where?
Yeah, Instagram and Facebook.
Okay. All right. Excellent. So, Brian, thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Appreciate you guys having us.
Hey, thanks for listening to the episode. Hope you enjoyed it. If so, do me a favor. Tell a friend. If you like it a lot, go to iTunes. Give me a rating and review. Let's spread the word. In the next episode, I travel back to my homeland, Ohio, and I go to a brewery that is changing the way that small town Ohio is drinking their beer. You don't want to miss this one. In the meantime, always remember, stay awesome.